Where did the name come from?
That was probably one of the hardest things for us is figure out a name. We would go on walks, hour-long walks and just spit out hundreds of names and nothing felt even remotely right. But one of the things like working in a kitchen and also growing up in a household that spoke Spanish, but a lot of Spanish speaking people in kitchens, like Mira is something that it means look, but it
Yes.
means anything, It's kind of like in Philly, there's like John, like anything can be John. And Mira is kind of like the universal kitchen version of John.
I
And
love that.
it's anything. And I say it a ton, like Mira, Mira, Mira. And I think I said it and Gina was like, oh, that should be the name. And as soon as she said that, like it made so much sense. It was perfect. We never looked back.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Perfect Bite podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Perkins. Whatever you believe in, it's hard to deny that some things feel like fate. Real kismet when we look back at moments and decisions with hindsight. It seems today's guests were always meant to meet, fall in love, and start a restaurant together back home. From incredible training growing up on the East Coast, to separate stints in California, to meeting in Philadelphia, their connection turned out to be a real miracle. I'm sorry, I can't not do a pun. Please welcome the executive chefs and partners behind Mira, chefs Manny and Gina Ocasio. Manny, Gina, hello.
Oh,
Yes.
Thanks for putting up with my dad joke here.
We love it. It is awesome.
I'm so happy to talk with you both. When I learned about Mira and everything you guys are doing, I was like, this just sounds like the perfect neighborhood spot that you want to go to over and over again. And I just can't wait to hear how you're looking at Mediterranean food through such an interesting lens because it isn't just like, here's some hummus, here's some shawarma, anything that you would find there, say going and getting, a little kebab or anything along those lines. You guys are doing it with a nice fine dining twist, some homemade pasta and pastries, of course, and just really with a lot of love, it sounds like. So I do always love to take things back to the beginning here. When did each of you fall in love with food, and what was eating and cooking like in your households growing up?
I could start. Yeah, food has always been at the center of my life for sure. I grew up in New Jersey, Italian American household, the pasta,
Beautiful.
the sausage, the sauce, the everything. And my mom made everything from scratch every day. She even told me that when I was a baby, she made my baby food from scratch. So
Incredible.
I know, very impressive. So I feel like it was always part of my journey to be involved in food in some way. Yeah, we always had the best dinner. She's still to this day is always baking. That's really where I got it from. And yeah, I just feel like it's always been a part of me. And when it became the time to decide what I wanted to do with my life, it was really no question that I wanted to cook and learn and do that for other people.
Wow.
yeah.
Manny?
I grew up in a household where both my parents worked in restaurants. My dad was a chef and my mom has been a server for her whole life, really. So I had like, an interesting relationship with restaurants and food growing up. I sort of like resented restaurants because my parents were always working and it was just something that I didn't really see myself wanting to be involved in. And my first job was working as a dishwasher when I was 15 years old. And it's sort of just like, almost like I had no say in it. Like I was just naturally very drawn to the environment. And the kitchen that I was a dishwasher in, I'm still very close with the cooks that worked there at the time. And they were like very, very involved in mentoring me because from, I would say like the second week I was working there, I was already like, okay, I want to start cooking. I want to get involved in the food side of things. It was really a bug that I caught and just wasn't able to shake. And, here I am now. And just that's where it came from.
You were like, I'm trying to resist the family tradition here. And Gina, you were like, I'm going to lean in. I want this. I want this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It came naturally to both of us, but in very different ways.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I'm like trying to do the parallels here. Of like when you were both feeling these things, what do you think drew each of you then to savory versus sweet along the journey?
Yeah, I think for me, it really truly comes from my mom's baking. Like, sure, she did cook all of our meals, but there was a lot of baking in our household, and I just really naturally gravitated towards it. I was the girl baking cookies and bringing them to my friends'
Yeah.
houses, having the bake sales, like all those sorts of things. And it really just became something I loved. I love to cook savory food as well, but when it came down to making the choice for professionally what I wanted to learn, I was just really interested in pastry.
And Manny, were you kinda drawn to, like, the, "Ooh, I want to experiment. Ooh, I wanna"
Yeah, I think
I feel like it's 2 types of people too,
Yeah,
because 'cause I'm much more of a baker, and I'm like, "I like the rules."
definitely.
exactly. That's sort of the opposite for me. I always like had a really hard time in school. And I think just learning with your hands and like learning through experience and being able to be sort of like self-taught, you have these experiences, you mess something up, you work through it in a way that lends itself to that savory end of cooking. And that was something that was always just very interesting for me.
Yes. Oh, I have to hear how you both got out to California. So, I like to say escaped the Midwest for a little bit. I went to school at Santa Clara. So, I was 20 minutes away from Manresa.
Oh,
Like, so seeing that, I was like, "Oh my gosh, you were in Los Gatos." Like, this was like a if you wanna go fancy shopping kind of time.
yeah.
You went down there. It's a very bougie town.
Oh my God.
It's very cute. But I'm curious, like, how you both had these interesting Bay versus LA moments here.
Yeah. Well, so again, I got my career started pretty early in cooking. And, by the time I was 16 or 17, I was basically full-time line cooking in restaurants.
Wow.
And I just got obsessed in like cookbooks and any sort of food media I could watch. I was just like, very interested in. And I would say I had the Manresa cookbook. And then that was like right around the time where The Mind of a Chef was coming out. And David Kinch did a season of that show, which I think is amazing. And I tell every single person to watch that. It was like so huge for me. And seeing that and like reading the cookbook, I was just so drawn to this restaurant and this kitchen. And I just started sending emails every week. I would send emails to the restaurant like, I want to come stage, I want to come work here. Please, if there's anything available, let me know. And it's funny, like I remember the exact moment that I got the response. I was
Oh,
working a brunch service at the restaurant and got the message from the chef de cuisine that was like, if you can be here next week, we have a position for you. And I dropped everything and was like, I need to do this. And the next week I was there.
God, you were like, "I am leaving the snow of Buffalo. I am going to the Bay Area," and
Yeah, yeah.
it really is magical. Honestly, when you get out to California those first few times and you're like, "What is this planet? What is
Yeah.
it?"
And it was like a first of everything. It was like the first time
Yes.
really traveling by myself and obviously like a huge move and commitment. There's like a lot of logistical challenges also like with that area because it's not San Francisco or LA,
No.
small town. There's not a ton of options on where to live and stay. And so it was really challenging. And I think like it was the hardest thing I had ever done, that's for sure, at that point in my life. And I got so much out of it, not even like from the cooking side, just from like the challenges involved with, moving across the country and like figuring it out when you're 17. It's just this awesome experience that I'm really glad that I got to have.
Yeah, and what was it like to training in a Michelin-starred kitchen like this? And I gotta say, just their bakery too. My God, they make
Yeah.
great bread.
I mean, it was unbelievable. It was definitely surreal. It had to have been like one of the most special kitchen environments that I can imagine existing for the quality and the care of the food. It was like a very tight staff. I know like a lot of that style of restaurant, like the three Michelin star, like super fine dining. A lot of the times it's like these huge staffs and there's not actually a ton of room for people to like experience things for themselves. It's usually, like the sous chefs and the chef de cuisines and like the higher up line cooks that have been there for a long time that are really heavily involved with all of the things that anybody who wants to experience that type of environment would want to be involved in. And
Yeah.
here, sort of like the opposite. It was a very small team and everybody was super nice. And there was just really a lot of room for somebody like me to learn so much. And there's still things to this day that I learned there that I carry through my cooking now. So just like the team there and the environment and the size of it, and again, just the food itself was just, unbelievable and such a great opportunity to do that at a young age and for that to be like the bar that is set.
And it must feel so surreal too, being like, "I fell in love with this cookbook,
Yeah,
and
no, for sure.
I went and did it."
Yeah, exactly,
You
like,
know?
first day I was there, I was like, "Holy crap, I can't bel like, this doesn't I watched this kitchen in videos, and now I'm here." It was pretty surreal.
Amazing. I'm gonna hop back and forth between the 2 of you because I like seeing this parallels of where you were at in your life. So, Gina, you decided to go to CIA. So, you were in the intensive cooking classes. You were again, I love this juxtaposition between savory cook versus sweet and how your journeys went about here. What did you take away most from that experience and honing your own style in that kind of environment? So, you were at Del Posto, and then you had your own California moment, but you went LA, you went to Squirrel. So, curious what your time was like there too, and then would love to hear from both of you, like, how you really think the West Coast has shaped you into the work you're doing today.
Yeah, so I like I said, decided I was going to learn how to cook and food was going to be my career. And so I looked into a few schools. And when I came across CIA, I was like, I need to go here. I want to go here really badly. I want to learn everything. I want to be a sponge. I want to have like serious training and have that experience. And I absolutely loved my experience there. I went for specifically baking and pastry and it taught me everything. I would say it, like, truly prepares you for the real world. Obviously, there's an endless amount of things
Yes.
to learn from working in kitchens, but I feel really grateful for my time at CIA and for the people I met and for the foundation it built for me. I loved every second of it. It was great. And it was immersive. You know, you had some classes that weren't in a kitchen to teach you food costing, the business end of things, just everything in between. But the majority of school, you are in the kitchens, learning the foundations, baking and pastry, obviously, like we talked about, there's a lot of rules and a lot of information to absorb about it. And they really try to just feed you all of that knowledge.
I always like when people talk about CIA too, I'm like, the level of pressure to cook for your peers as
Oh,
well as not just for a grade, I'm like, "This is so scary."
I know that was
It's
one of the
really puts you
things.
out there.
Definitely. Like, the savory students would cook lunch for the entire school. You would go and decide which kitchen you wanted to go have lunch at, which was such an amazing perk. And
Yes.
then the pastry students worked at the apple pie bakery, which is still open to the public today. And then so everything wasn't just like, oh, you can make these desserts and try your best, and we'll see. It was to the standard of
A
uh
bakery.
bakery, and so the pressure was definitely on to perform, and I definitely liked having that pressure. It really just sets the bar and makes you really want to learn how to do everything the right way.
Yes. Tell us about your time at Squirrel. How are you putting your stamp on your pastry work here?
Right, so, yeah, the decision to move out there became clear. I had been to California before, but while I was working at Del Posto, me and one other pastry cook were doing an event in LA with Brooks Headley. He invited us to go with him. And while we were in LA doing this event, we ate at Sqirl for lunch, and I was, like, blown away. I had been working in a Michelin-starred kitchen for the past 4 years and came from CIA and had never really spent time in California, and just being there and eating the food and, like, seeing the culture just blew my mind, and I was like, "I love everything about this," and I knew since the beginning of my career that I didn't wanna put myself in a box. I really wanted to explore and try to learn as many different things as possible, kind of like how Manny made his decision to go to California. And I knew I wanted to move on from Del Posto to learn something different. And when I was just thinking about it, I just kept thinking about my time at Squirrel. I loved it so much. And I reached out and I said, "Can I please come work for you?" And working there was such an amazing experience, completely different from the experience I was just having at Del Posto. And my main like takeaways are obviously the insane produce that is surrounding that state. I was just blown away. The street next to Sqirl is lined with fig trees. People are
My
bringing
gosh.
they're bringing avocados, and they're completely dedicated at Sqirl to working with farms and getting the most beautiful produce imaginable. And I just feel like I was taught like how to have some freedom with baking and kind of let go of some rules and really explore different ingredients that I had never worked with before, whole grains, produce I'd never seen, and just really special like flavors and perspectives on food that I didn't experience when I was in New York. And I am just so grateful I got to see that side of things. And I feel like I really connected with it and still practice that way of cooking.
Yeah. I mean, almost a two-part question. One, do either of you have a food or a piece of produce from California in your time out there that you're like, man, I miss that all the time? And you're like, I wish I had that a little bit more fresh or just available. I think about just when you drive down to say like Monterey and Big Sur from north and you see all the farms and the signs for like 6 for $1 avocados, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I want this," or going through Gilroy and all the garlic, and so there are those things I miss. So I wanna talk about, yeah, the little things that you're like, "Wish I had that," but also I wanna hear about how you're taking advantage of that philosophy on the East Coast again. So coming back home and recognizing all the beautiful farmers and purveyors that you do have back home and how you're working with them.
Yeah, I mean, Buffalo is a very interesting place to cook. You really are dictated in what you do by the seasons.
Yes.
And we have extremely short seasons in Buffalo. It makes you very involved and very sort of like at the mercy of what the farm has to offer. We really are dedicated to having really close relationships with the farmers and basing our menus off of what they have to offer. And again, it's super tight around here. You'll figure out a way or like a dish that you love, and then that ingredient might only be around for like 2 or 3 weeks. And I think that for me, like getting back to your question, that's maybe the thing I miss the most about California or even like other parts of the East Coast that are a little bit warmer is just the timing of ingredients,
Yes.
a little bit more time to work with certain things. For instance, we're talking and it's, the first week of August, and we are just now getting tomatoes in Buffalo. And I'm sure,
Oh,
other parts of the East Coast and even like where Gina's parents live in New Jersey, they've had tomatoes for a couple of weeks. It's really that timing that you have to be like really, really smart about like how you're going to plan things out and just knowing, okay, I have this ingredient that I love. If it's like a strawberry or blueberry or tomatoes, peppers, but I'm only going to have 4 weeks to work with this. So you really, really enjoy it while you have it. I would say it really teaches you that here.
yeah, definitely that sense of gratitude for
Yeah.
when we have access to these things. Gina, how
Yeah.
about you?
Yeah, well, I'll start with a piece of produce I can't stop thinking about, and it's a persimmon. Jessica, the owner of Sqirl, she just had a friend come by, which happened all the time. It's so cool, and just bring some persimmons to the restaurant. And it was just the most like, I mean, I've had persimmons before, but not like this. It was just the most
Yes.
interesting, like sweet, complex flavor and piece of fruit I've had. And that's something I feel like I have a hard time getting over in this part of the country. But I think about that a lot. And yeah, like piggybacking off of what Manny was saying, those philosophies weren't just with us when we were in California. They're ingrained in us for sure. And we do our best with what we have to make sure we're using everything seasonally and local because it's what we love. We get so excited when each piece of produce comes out during the season and our menu just gets transformed with the seasons. And yeah, we're really passionate about doing that and don't like to take shortcuts in that way. I really try to avoid using things that are out of season. One, to support the farmers, and also it's a better quality product when you're using things that are in season. And that's our main goal.
Yeah, and you don't feel like you have to do so much to it to make it
Exactly.
taste good, right? You're just saying, "Hello, beautiful vegetable. Hello, a fruit. I love you. I know. I feel like that's a sign of amazing chefs is when you're like, wow, you make vegetables taste a lot better than any meat protein ever could.
That's a big part of the Mediterranean way of cooking
Yes,
is the best quality products you can find with the simplest preparation. And we really try to practice that. And when you have that beautiful produce, it makes it pretty easy.
definitely. Well, leading up to this moment with Mira, I mean, I always love a meet cute. So, not only from partners in life to then partners in business, I don't want to gloss over as well all of your accomplishments that you both had in Philly. Gina, you were here and you were recognized as best pastry chef by Philadelphia Magazine. Manny, you were working at Jean Georges and Zahav. And I'd love to hear during this time how you both ended up here and finally met. And if you were looking at your own stories and saying, like, oh my gosh, we have so much in common. We both took these really interesting journeys.
It is strange. I mean, I'm so grateful for the journey, but it
Yes.
is that we've had these paths that like were pretty similar and yeah, led us to the same place. So while I was at Squirrel, a friend had reached out and said, we're opening a restaurant in Philly, like, want you to be a part of it. And I just loved that. And I said yes. And I moved back to the East Coast and helped open this restaurant. And yeah, so we really put a lot of love into everything, and I learned how to do a lot of different things while I was there, but the pastries were for sure my main focus, and when we got that recognition, it was so, like, gratifying and just so amazing and really boosted our confidence because it was also the first time I was part of an opening, and, like, in charge of something. So, it was really amazing to be recognized and to have the proof that we are doing something great, like, we can do this, and, like, we believed in what we were doing, and to have other people see that is the best feeling. S
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Mm.
for me, like, I'm really grateful that from a very young age, I knew exactly what I wanted to do, which was to get to this point where we're at now. And like, obviously, way before I knew Gina, but to open up this restaurant and like this type of restaurant in Buffalo, like where I'm from. But I knew in order to do something and do it at the sort of like scale and the quality that we hope to do at Mira, that I would need training. So I was looking at cities that I wanted to move to and restaurants that I could work and learn in. And there was a few different options, but my brother happened to be living in Philadelphia. He was a ballet dancer with the Pennsylvania Ballet. And
Gosh.
so Philly just kind of made sense with him already being there. And as soon as I got there, I started looking at all of the long-standing restaurants there, the Zahavs and Vetries, and just poking my head in and seeing where I could get a job. And Zahav worked out. And honestly, I can't imagine a better kitchen to have ended up in and like really forming my idea of food. Growing up, I sort of had a more fine dining outlook, and that was where I saw myself. And like being thrown into this environment where it's again, it's all just about the quality of ingredients and like these old cooking methods and just really preserving these recipes and not overcomplicating things and cooking with tradition really formed how I cook today. And so I'm really glad that I got to be a part of that restaurant. And also the timing was really amazing. You know, the year that I was there, Zahav won Outstanding Restaurant. We had this amazing crew that has gone on to do awesome things and just like a lot of really talented people working in that kitchen at that time. So I'm super grateful to have been a part of it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
Zaha is actually where we met. I was going to New York to represent Fiore Fine Foods at a bake sale, and my friend was the pastry chef of Zahav at the time. And we said, no, let's go together, obviously. So I went to go pick her up at Zahav, and Manny was standing in the door. And I just asked for my friend. We went on our way, whatever. I said, who's that guy? And she's like, oh, it's Manny. He's from Buffalo. I was like, okay,
They're from
great.
Buffalo.
Exactly.
Just
I was like, I don't know anything about Buffalo.
And it is funny too, because I remember that day, obviously, and I remember We were only ever open for dinner, and for some reason, we were open that day for like a graduation lunch, and
My
so that's
gosh.
the reason that I happened to be there. So it worked out.
Yeah, and months later, there was no relationship, we never talked anything, and months later, I walk into a bar, and who's sitting at the bar but Manny, and things just kind of unfolded, we ended up talking at the bar, and that was really it. So, I don't always think I believe in fate or anything, but I really do think fate had some involvement here, and I think how we met is really special and cool.
So sweet. I know it really is like the universe was working hard for you too.
I think
Yeah.
so,
It
yeah.
kept being like, we're going to put these kids together somewhere. We're going to find it.
Yeah, I don't know where, but we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So, of course, things unfurled from there. What was the decision then to go to Buffalo? And then essentially, Manny, you were like, I've been thinking about this for a while, but what was the real aha moment to team up with your business partners and get going on Mira here?
Yeah, well, I think the move from Philly to Buffalo really kicked off because it was COVID and like
Ah,
we were looking for a switch up and to really figure out like what our long-term future was going to look like. And the idea of opening up a restaurant together was something we talked about probably a month into dating.
yeah.
And so we were like really focused on that and always saw Buffalo as a good option for doing that. And then once we got more serious about the idea of moving, again, the timing had just really worked out. I had a close friend who was the chef at the restaurant that I ended up taking over in Buffalo. And he happened to have been leaving at the time. And then there was this other really awesome cafe here in Buffalo that was looking for a pastry chef. So it was like just perfect timing for both of us to come here and have these jobs ready to go. And then always still with that idea of getting to the point where we're at now. So again, we were just really fortunate with the timing, I would say.
And where did the name come from?
That was probably one of the hardest things for us is figure out a name. We would go on walks, hour-long walks and just spit out hundreds of names and nothing felt even remotely right. But one of the things like working in a kitchen and also growing up in a household that spoke Spanish, but a lot of Spanish speaking people in kitchens, like Mira is something that people, it means look, but it
Yes.
means anything, it's kind of like in Philly, there's like John, like anything can be John. And Mira is kind of like the universal kitchen version of John,
I
and
love that.
it's anything, and I say it a ton, like, "Mira, mira, mira," and especially to get Gina's attention, just always saying it, and I think I said it, and Gina was like, "Oh, that should be the name," and as soon as she said that, like, it made so much sense, it was perfect, we never looked back.
Yep.
Never
My
had, like,
God.
a conversation about
Yeah, we said, "That's it."
Wait, I love that you oh, yeah, John. I do love hearing an East Coaster say that. It is such a great word. Jabroni. Uh, all these funny things. But I love this origin story. It does feel very like the melding of both of your backgrounds and exactly what you wanted it to feel like, too. So you do have two business partners. You work with Karen and Brad. How did you all meet? How did they get involved? And what was then, I guess, those feelings and new appreciation for opening your own concept that you were taking on? So you've been part of opening teams, but you're like, holy cow, we're going to do our own thing. We're entrepreneurs.
Yes. So I formed a relationship with Brad and Karen because they were the owners of the Grange, which is the restaurant where I was the chef when we first moved to Buffalo. And I had known them a little bit just being from Buffalo, but obviously being the chef there, we developed this amazing relationship and just really worked
Yeah.
super well together. And I was always just very grateful for their support and the opportunities. I was 23 years old when I became the chef at their restaurant. And I feel like they put a lot of trust and faith in me and gave me the opportunities to really grow into that position and really lead that restaurant. And so it was an amazing opportunity for me. And like I said, we just really worked well together. And then obviously Gina was always around and then, ended up working at the Grange for a while for the last year we were there. So I think that's, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're really grateful to be partners with Brad and Karen because I think while Manny was at the Grange, they really saw how talented he was and how committed he was to being a leader and really like staying true to his vision. And I think they saw that and said, this person can absolutely do this. They can definitely run a successful business and they know that his food's incredible. And so I think they really saw that over the years that he was there and then the year that I was there as well. And it was kind of a no-brainer for them.
And it's nice when you've got history with folks. You're not like, hey, you're just the money folk. It's someone who you really trust. And co founders of any kind, no matter the relationship, you have to have marriage level trust, is
Yeah.
what I learned as well when I attempted to start up. Is like, oh no, you have to go through a lot together and be open to understanding how people approach those issues. So it sounds like a great group that you've got here. Now, when I was doing some reading about the Grange as well, I mean, this sounds like a really special place. It sounded like a real moment for community. Talk to us about that and how you decided to bring that into Mira as well, what your own version of that is.
Yeah, it's actually funny. Just yesterday, we were at the Grange celebrating their 10-year anniversary.
Oh my
So
God. Wow.
yeah, that restaurant's been a pillar in this community for sure. I'm not from Buffalo. I've only lived here for a few years, but everybody knows the Grange and respects the Grange and appreciates what they've done. And they now have several restaurants, and everyone knows them to be just really committed to serving great food and being a place for people to go because their restaurants are all over the city. And so I think that's a really special thing that people can experience what they're trying to do all over Buffalo.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely one of those restaurants that sort of laid the framework for a lot of others.
Mhm.
And it was just like a special place. And again, I'm very grateful for my time there. And it also taught me like coming into a restaurant that's already built its following and its culture and identity and being able to just like embrace that was a special thing for me and also taught me a lot because there's so many lessons for chefs to learn. And I think one that's really cool is how to approach different cuisines and different restaurants and that have different followings and how to make things make sense in that way and not always just doing the thing that makes sense to you, but like how does it
Yes.
reflect and how does it work in that specific environment? And so that was really cool for me.
Speaking of, so Mira ends up opening last year in the fall. So your own baby is going to be one soon. Oh my gosh. It must feel like a whirlwind.
Oh, yeah.
What were those first early days like in terms of opening? And then I want to talk about ambiance and food. What do you want people to feel as you're coming into this space and joining you? And I do want to talk about, like you said, Manny, not just like, hey, this is my version of food and this is how we do it every time, but really the lens that you both have brought together for this special type of Mediterranean cuisine.
Yeah, leading up to the opening of Mira was a whirlwind. I feel really grateful that we knew what the vision was and we had such a strong idea of what we wanted this restaurant to be. And so working towards that was very hard. But it was also easy in a way because we knew the path we wanted to go on. And it was so cool to work with Karen, who designed the restaurant, because we obviously are on the food end of things and the business end of things. And then working with her to make a cohesive concept. And to your next question, really make the food and the design like a cohesive experience and seeing the restaurant transform before our eyes was one of the coolest experiences for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely very special. And the restaurant that we took over is sort of like an iconic Buffalo location. It was a restaurant that operated for over 40 years that I grew up like going to get breakfast there. So seeing the transformation and like what Gina said, and being able to be really involved in that process, really benefited the end result because a cohesive experience really was at the forefront of what we were doing. And we really, again, with like our partnership and the way that we operate together, we were really able to dial that in, which I think you see in the experience that you'll have at Mira.
Tell us a few of I know it's like choosing children, but what are the certain dishes like that we have to have when we come in that are going to be there no matter what, even as you're changing things up seasonally? What is your perfect Mira meal so that we can really experience the mission that you have?
Yes. I would say if you come to Mira, you have to start with Manny's beef tartare. I would say it's like such a special dish that I feel like he's really honed in on throughout the years. And it's just the perfect balance of smoke, freshness, crunch, textures, everything. It's just delicious. And I think that is the start. The next course of yours, Andy.
Well, we're really proud of all of the pasta that we serve. Gina makes all the pasta and we produce so much of it. And it's such a big part of the restaurant. And the one pasta that never leaves the menu are the culurgiones, which are like a Sardinian dumpling filled with potato that are in like a fresh tomato sauce. And I would say that's like the number one you can't go without.
They
Yes.
count.
I feel like the first time I had this pasta, I was like, "This is so delicious," and I've never seen it on a menu, and I think it's so exciting to be able to share it with people who haven't had it before.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, who doesn't love a dumpling?
I
Like
know.
every culture has such beautiful dumplings that you got to keep them.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then we have a beautiful Spanish grill that we're grilling meats, vegetables, and fish, and I think anything from that side of the menu is so special and really like speaks to what Mira is. We like to use a lot of bold spices, the char from the grill, the simplicity of all of those dishes that really highlight the meat or the fish or the vegetable. I think all of those dishes we offer are really special and really speak to the kind of food that we make for sure.
Yeah, this grill and oven combo that it was literally the first thing that we purchased for the
Ooh.
restaurant. It's called a Josper is the name of the company, and they're from Spain. And we literally saw it and we bought it, and I was that we really formed a lot of things for Mira around this piece of equipment. So anything that gets cooked on there is pretty awesome.
Amazing. Is this open fire?
Yes,
Like,
yes.
Yeah,
yeah, I'm starting to see a trend amongst restaurants being like, I'm going to lean into open flame here.
Yeah.
And it pays off.
It goes along with what we're talking about with the simplicity and not overcomplicating things with vegetables. And it's the same with meat and fish. It's like you just grill something and serve it with olive oil and lemon. It's delicious.
Gosh, even the food you all just described right now, I feel like I picture sparkling Mediterranean waters, sunshine, little smokiness. Maybe it's kind of a Mediterranean barbecue happening nearby, and you're just eating by the water and having the best day of your life. So I like that this is the feeling that you're going to get. Again, even if there's 2 feet of snow outside.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, we love that you just said that.
Yeah.
Exactly the point. And yes, especially when it's freezing, the windows are frosting, the snow is on the ground. We don't
Oh.
feel that at Mira. See,
No,
like,
that lightness that you're not gonna walk out feeling like, "Oh my gosh, I just stuffed my face, help," like almost too much food, but it's like the right amount of food. I can't wait to visit you guys. It sounds amazing.
thank you.
And what has surprised you most this first 9 or 10 months or so since opening, and what's growth been like so far?
I would say I think we're both very surprised. I mean, we were hoping for this, but seeing it in real time is amazing with how busy we've been and how much support we've gotten from the community of Buffalo. It's pretty incredible. We're honored that so many people want to come to our restaurant because anyone who's opening a restaurant, they have all these things running through their head. How's this going to go? Are people going to like it? Are people going to want it? And to see it in real time that people really want to experience what we're doing is just the best feeling in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. I think when we were going through this process, we definitely had all of these ideas and sort of thought like, is this going to be accepted? Doing things a little bit differently. And I think it's been amazing to see how much people have welcomed what we do.
Yes. And that they're gonna keep coming back over and over. You guys are the next Grange. You're your own version, you
Yeah.
know?
Yes, we hope so. We hope everyone keeps coming back. We do have our regulars, which is such a cool thing to open your own restaurant and then have regulars that just love it so much and want to keep supporting us. It's really amazing.
Definitely. So again, you're moving and grooving here. A year has probably come extremely quickly. As partners in life as well, what are you all doing in terms of keeping like a sense of balance? Do you like to keep a sense of separation in terms of personal life and business life, or is it really just one entity together?
Yeah.
We're working on the balance part. That's in the motions.
Always in it, always.
But we haven't had a ton of that, which again, it's sort of that thing. It's like we're not here to complain about being like as swamped as we are. It's awesome, and we're very proud and happy to be in that position. But I would say this first year, we're just like still working through that grind, especially summer in Buffalo also is like a very special time, I would say. Like a lot of other food cities, it's sort of like the slower time of year because we even go on vacation. Buffalo is like, we have such a short summer. People are here to enjoy it. So nobody leaves Buffalo during the summer. This is when everybody comes to Buffalo. So this is our busy season, the patio season, and we're like ripping and rocking. So we're
Love it.
basically in that stretch right now to get through the patio season. And so, yeah, there's not a whole ton of balance, I would say.
Yes. Yeah, we're working together, we're living together, and there isn't that much balance. But I do feel like we do a pretty good job of communicating with each other and keeping work at work when we can, obviously, because sometimes we work when we're not there. But I think we just love each other. And so when it comes down to it, we definitely need to work on it after this first year. But I think we do a really great job of spending so much time together and making business decisions together, which definitely isn't easy. And it's definitely not for everyone. So I think for where we're at, we're doing a pretty good job.
Yes, it is really special to be an entrepreneurial household, even like if you're in the business together or working on separate things and just being understanding that person. And it reminds me of I spoke with Jody Williams and Rita Sodi a couple weeks ago. And again, they've been doing multiple businesses and living life together and being partners in life for 20 years or so. And they just said, we just do life together. We knew we were going to do life together. We just build the places we love. And I was like, that is beautiful.
That is
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, I absolutely love that and agree. That's the path that we're on as well, which we knew
Yeah,
going
no,
into
exactly.
opening a business together. And I think we saw from the beginning that we work really well together and that we can do this at work and outside of work. And yeah, I love that. We're doing life together also.
Yeah. And I mean, it takes a special connection. Like,
Yes.
Yes.
this is not a pitch for everybody. It's definitely just because, Gina and I work really well together. And again, nothing was like a surprise for us. We knew that this is how it's going to be. We've worked together in the past and we're on the path together.
Yes. You're on the life path together. So, speaking of Buffalo and speaking of, say, taking advantage of these moments, because again, I lived in Chicago a long time. I understand when summertime shy is in full effect, you're not leaving, you're having fun. But I also, again, really enjoy talking about and putting spotlights on our more medium sized cities. I want you to say why we should all be visiting Buffalo. What are really some elements that we need to know about it so that we can be adding it to the travel dream list and not just treating it as like a flyover situation?
Sure.
Yeah, I think Buffalo has really grown over the past decade, not just what we do in restaurants, but just as a destination and somewhere where you can have like a really great weekend getaway and see some different things. Obviously, there's the staples, there's Niagara Falls or the football is huge here. So going to a Bills game and they actually just got a new stadium that they're opening for this season. But there's just like a lot of different new fun things to do. And also, our proximity to Canada, you can do Buffalo and Toronto, which is awesome and has so many great restaurants and so much awesome food. But I think Buffalo itself is just really blossomed into having its own like vibe and culture. And it seems like a lot of people are into it. And there's just a lot of new things to do and see in Buffalo.
Yes,
Seems
I agree with that. I feel like Buffalo's kind of getting its own identity with all of these new attractions and businesses that have just been popping up everywhere, I think you can really make yourself a great little weekend coming here.
It sounds very sweet. I like it.
Yes.
Last few questions before the world's best and hardest question. You each have a lot to be proud of, but what do you think you're most proud of? And how do you want to continue to grow? What do you think is next in the journey here?
Yeah, I could start. This journey has been intense, exciting, all the things, and very hard. And I'm really proud because the crew we have in our kitchen has all been there since day one. And surrounding yourself with people who really care about your restaurant and you really care about them and they're willing to put in that work for you and willing to just be there along for the ride is such a special thing to experience when it's your own business, your own restaurant, you're relying on people and getting that in return has been just incredible. And I'm just really proud of the team we were able to build and the culture that we're building in our kitchen as well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a whirlwind, like being a part of an opening kitchen crew, and I've been there. And I think I'm also just very proud of like the culture we've built and the people that we have around us, and also just the way that we're able to work through situations. Every day that there's something that feels like it's going to be like the end of the world or just some crazy problem. And then you figure it out and you work through it. And that's just part of life. That's part of operating a business, whether it's a restaurant or anything else. So just like staying even keeled and calm and being able to work through things is something that's really important. And I think that we've really thrived at over the past 10 months.
Definitely. Do you see expansion in the future? I also feel like there could be a cookbook between the two of you.
We would love to do a cookbook. I feel like whenever we make something we're really proud of or excited about, we say it's going in the cookbook, but joking. But I feel like that would be something we would love to do one day.
Yeah, we've talked about a cookbook a lot, and that's something we would love to do. We don't think a ton about like the next, like expanding, but I think that there's something there for sure.
Can't wait. So, last question before we get to perfect bites here. What is a piece of advice you'd like to give someone wanting to start something new on their own, whether it's within food and bev or anything?
My advice would be to find someone or several someones that share your vision and can help you. I mean, this is my first time opening a business, but I can't imagine doing it alone. I think surrounding yourself with people who are able to help you and help you grow and see things a little differently is incredibly important.
Yeah, and I would say put yourself in those situations, but for somebody else, because I think the more experience that are no longer new experiences can really benefit you, like once you get to doing something on your own. And again, that's how we operate, like we've been running kitchens for years and years. So we're just doing our jobs, but the difference is we own it.
Amazing. All right, Manny, Gina, here we are. So, to remind folks, this is called the perfect bite because it's not just a perfect bite of our friends across the food and bev industry, but because we each have our own perfect bites. So, family recipes, dishes, something you had on vacation, really just something you've eaten in your life that every time you think about it, it makes you smile. So, Manny and Gina, what are your perfect bites?
Okay, my perfect bite is something I think about very often. It's called cow soy, and it's like northern Thai style curry. Specifically, I love it at a restaurant in New York called Thai Diner. The broth is so flavorful. It's coconutty. They serve it with chicken and noodles with crispy noodles on top and mustard greens, and it's just the most comforting, flavorful soup and I just love it, and I could eat it every day, no problem. I love it.
My gosh, it sounds so good. And again, like fits very well with the Mira ethos of elevated comfort food.
Yes, 100%.
Manny,
Yeah.
how
And for
about
me,
you?
yeah. So every year we take a trip upstate and we stay in the Catskills like late summer. And it's been a tradition in our family for like the past 5 or 6 years, we stay at the same house and we love going there. We look forward to it every year. And with it being late summer, Gina always makes crisp with like nectarines, which are my favorite fruit, and some like awesome local berries. And I have to say, I look forward to that crisp every single year. So that was my perfect bite.
Oh, I love that so much. Again, like there's this like memories and nostalgia, and both of your perfect bites seem like they are just spot on for both of you. Thank you.
Yeah, they make us happy, that's for sure, every time we eat one.
Yes.
Oh,
And keep going back to them.
isn't it so fun to talk about this?
Yeah.
Yes. I also made a crisp last night, and I haven't made one all summer, but it really is just like the best, in my opinion, expression of summer fruit because you're not really doing anything crazy. You're just sweetening up a little bit. You're using everything at its peak and then just topping with a little crunchy sweetness. Like, I love it.
It's like the easiest way to do a pastry, basically.
Yes. Yeah, you could just whip it together so quickly.
Perfect. Oh, Gina,
Exactly.
Manny, this was incredible. Thank you again so much for your time, your wisdom, your stories here. Can you let folks know where to find you? So, social accounts, location, website, and anywhere else we should be looking for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Our website is mirabuffalo.com. Our Instagram is at mirabuffalo. And yeah, you can find us there. And we really appreciate you having us. We had such a great time and we really appreciate being on.
Me too. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Oh
you.
my gosh. You guys are great. Thank you again so much. And thank you everyone for listening in. This was Manny and Gina Ocasio's Perfect Bite.
Thanks for tuning in to The Perfect Bite today. You can listen to future episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Thanks in advance for subscribing, rating, and reviewing. You can follow The Perfect Bite on social media at Perfect Bite Pod. Now go get something good to eat.